it's Lee from colouringqueen.net, and today I thought we'd have a colouring chat, and I thought I'd colour in my new colouring book, which is The Other Side of the Dream by Karolina Kubikowska, and use my new crayons, the Bambino crayons. I've got to say I am really loving The Other Side of the Dream, the English edition. It is so much better in my opinion than the original Polish. Just the changes that they made to the layout and moving the elements around and the paper, and yeah, I'm really loving it, and I'm absolutely adoring these cheap little packet of crayons. Isn't it funny that sometimes like the little cheap things make you so happy? Like these little crayons are just so easy to colour with, and I really wish I had a stockist that sold them in Australia, because I can see that I'm going to go through them pretty quickly, and while they're available, in the UK and Europe, I haven't seen them available in Australia, but they're just so fast and easy to use. I mean, if they brought out a packet of 48, I'd be on it. It's so fast, but I wish I had a few more skin colours, but anyway, I thought I'd give it a crack, see if I could colour in the whole picture, including the background, with just these crayons. So we'll see how I go. I mean, I'm sure really skilled colourists could do it, because they, know more about colour theory than I do, and, they've usually just got such great ideas, but I thought I'd just give it a go and see if it's possible with just this little packet of 24. So I hope you're all having a good day today. It is cool here in Brisbane, and I've actually had the heater on, which is unusual for me because usually I'm just right at this temperature, but even I'm cold, so that's saying something. And it's actually been raining. It pelted down before. The sound on the roof was just horrendous, so I obviously couldn't film or do the audio while it was raining, because it was just thundering down on the roof. It was really bad. And then when I went outside, everything was just puddles and water everywhere, and luckily I didn't have any washing on the line, but and then of course it just fined up really quickly like it had never happened. You gotta love that weather. But it's winter here in Australia, so everything is, just a little bit colder, especially up here in Queensland in the subtropical areas. It's just a little bit colder, not like the horrendous winters that you guys in the US and Canada have, and the UK. I remember when I lived in the UK, I don't know if I've ever told you this before, but I lived in the UK in the 90s, and I worked, a couple of jobs. I worked at the National Art Gallery, and I worked at a bookshop called Hatchard's. I think it's Waterstones now. But anyway, it was so cold in December, and I was freezing. And so I ended up just, ringing up and getting a flight home because I was too cold. I was going to stay for longer, and I was going out with an English guy at the time, and he lived in Yorkshire, but I just couldn't take the cold. It was just too cold for me, and so I ended up changing my plane ticket and coming back home to Australia because I was just too cold. The whole white Christmas thing, it was like, no, not doing it. It looks nice, but I'm too cold and I want to get warm. So I missed all of the white Christmas. I was sort of there for all the events that they have in the UK previously, like lighting up the Christmas tree and things like that. I was there for all that part of it, but then I went home. I think I got home on Christmas Eve or something like that. And, coming back to Australia, it was just, warm and hot, and, I'd been wearing a trench coat and scarf and gloves in London, and I was freezing. I'm just not built for it. which is funny because I'm originally from an area where it's either stinking hot or freezing cold and sort of close to the snow. So we used to go up to the snow quite regularly, and you'd wake up in the morning and chip the ice off your car or go up to the snow on the weekend and things like that. But yeah, no, I've gone soft in my old age. So yesterday and today, when it's been a bit colder, I've had the little tiny heater on. We don't actually have a big heater because we felt that we didn't need it. And so I've had the little heater on, and I've been just constantly sitting in front of it warming up my toesies. So I think I forgot to close the window today, and so you might see some different lighting changes here. And I think it's because the sun's coming out and it's shading over my uh, light that I'm using above my picture. So my apologies, I forgot to close the blinds so that it's just non-natural lighting. So every time that sun moves, we're seeing different changes. So for those of you that fuddy Buddy on Instagram, he's at Pud's Diary, and Buddy is our border collie. You'll know that he hasn't been well. Unfortunately, Buddy has epilepsy, and I think because the people that had him before us both worked, they never realised how bad his seizures were, and how many seizures he was having, because they were both at work, and he'd have seizures probably when they were at work. But since we've had him, he's had that many seizures, and the other day he had 5 in one day, last week. Not last week, week before. And anyway, we had to take him to the emergency vet, and of course, you know, they always do a blood test, and they've changed his medication and given him some new meds. And the poor little thing, he is so unhappy about it. The new medication really makes him dopey, and he's virtually been depressed. You know, he's just been getting up in the morning and then going back to bed, and I have to tempt him to get him to eat. And yeah, so he has some days where he's just like his normal self, and I'm thinking, oh good, you know, he's getting adjusted to the new medication and it's all good. But then the next day he's not so good, and he's tired and lethargic, and as I said, he's like a little bit depressed. So he's been doing a lot of sitting around, which is unlike him. So when he runs out and sort of wants to talk to the other dogs in the neighbourhood, I just let him, because it's nice to see him sort of being a little bit more energetic and back to normal. But I've got to say, it's actually really hard to stay on top of all these meds and everything, because they've got to be given at a certain time. And I know sometimes I want to film and it's like, you know, 20 minutes before his meds, so I don't want to start filming because I'll have to give him his tablet. And sometimes, you know, the late night one that he's got to have, I'm sort of sitting there some nights nearly falling asleep, but I've got an alarm set on my phone so that I need to wake up to give him his tablet. So it actually is like a really hard job, and I'd kind of forgotten a lot of it because our previous dog didn't have epilepsy as bad as Buddy does. But and also it was years ago that we had a dog with epilepsy, so, and we never had this tablet schedule of, you know, so many tablets a day. It's like 5 tablet sessions, so it is actually hard. And so in a way it's really good that I'm home, because I can keep up with this tablet schedule and whatnot if I don't forget. But you just feel so sorry for him, because you can see that he wants to go and play. Because he's only 3, he's going to be 4 in July. We're going to give him a birthday party if he's up to it. But you can see he wants to play, but then he just gets really tired and, back to sleep. And plus, he's not following his commands, and so it's really hard to get him in and out of the house because he's just stares at you. And apparently, according to my dog epilepsy group that I'm in, this is all quite normal when they're on the tablets that he's on and when they increase medication. But I tell you, it's not for the faint-hearted. But he's worth it. So I just hope he's going to feel better. This morning he was a bit more full of beans, so I hope he's, feeling better. He's only gone for one walk in the last 2 weeks, which means that I've only gone for one walk because I just stay home with him and just, make sure he's okay. So we're all getting fat. We're all just sitting around eating treats and laying down. No, I'm only joking, but I think we could all do with the walk. But I just can't wait for him to get that walk going. But because it's been raining, I guess that's a good thing because usually we don't let him walk in the rain, so he gets soaking wet, but just only like a little bit of wet. So I guess it's been a good thing that he's not really missing much. And as I said, he just wants to go to bed, and I'm letting him at the moment because from my forums it seems to be like a 2-week thing, till they get used to it. So this white crayon is just great. You can use it to blend and tint and also add highlights if you want. It actually works better than my white pencil that I often have trouble getting like a white line on things, but this, as long as you haven't put too much down, you can actually get like a hard white line, which for me I'm not able to achieve usually on other things, unless I leave a white space, but I know other people can. It's just like a me thing. But yeah, so Buddy's doing good, and Millie has been really good with him. She's been keeping him company and sitting with him, and she's a little sweetheart sometimes. I just wish she was nice to me like that. Every time I try and brush her, she's been ripping me apart like it's nobody's business. I have more band-aids and antiseptic cream on me than you could, poke a stick at. But anyway. So other than that, I'm trying to think what else we've been doing. Oh, I bought a new microphone, and I've got to get that set up. David's got it on my desk at the moment, but I'm not using it because he's put it in the position where my voice won't reach it. It's too far away. But he seems to have drilled a hole in the desk while I wasn't looking to do that. So I guess I'm going to have this Swiss cheese desk. But yeah, so I've got a new microphone, so I'm excited to use that. So because I've had the same microphone or just the microphone in the phone for like 10 years that I've been using. So that'll be good. Look forward to setting it up and seeing where I get the best audio from. And what else I can't think of anything. Today I think David's coming home for lunch, and his lunch is like at 10:30, so I don't really have that much time because for the first time ever David's actually working in the next suburb today, so it only took him 10 minutes to get to work, and he'll be home in like 10 minutes, and he didn't have time to make his lunch because I think he just took his time having coffee and stuff with me this morning before he left for work. So he's going to come home for lunch, and yeah, that'll be nice. I can't think of any time that he's ever come home before for lunch, so this will be good. And so I've been doing a lot of cooking, and hopefully he'll find something in what I've cooked that he'll like for lunch. He's got a bit of a choice. I made some mushroom quiche, and I made some quiche Lorraine, and I made chicken and vegetable pies and chicken and leek pies, and also some spaghetti and meatballs, and I was going to make a cake, but I didn't because I just couldn't be bothered really. Terrible. I could have just put it in the oven while I was making the other things, but I just couldn't think about what I wanted, and the only thing I felt like making, I couldn't find the cake tin pan for it, so I just thought that's a sign, and I'm not going to make the cake. And maybe we don't need cake. Maybe he doesn't need cake for work. But he said yesterday they were on this same job site, and usually the job sites all have microwaves and they have water and things like that. But this job site, it's very small, and it didn't have water, and it didn't have any microwave or anything like that. And their lunchroom didn't even have a roof on it, so when it started raining, they all got wet, and the builder apparently had his laptop there, and it was all getting wet in the rain, and he had to quickly move it. And one of David's workmates, he'd brought a meal to heat up in the microwave, and the poor kid, he couldn't heat up his meal, so David gave him half his sandwiches, which was nice of him, but um, just very odd that this work site doesn't have anything. It's really weird, and it's really weird because it's actually a school that they're doing building work on, and usually schools, being government departments, they usually run pretty well, and they've got all the safety and all the work health and safety things that you need. But this one, nope. So his little friend was pretty hungry yesterday too, because he only got one sandwich off David, and I think he's a big boy and kind of, likes to eat a little bit more than one sandwich, but he was grateful that he had something because it's actually far away from the shops, and also it was raining and their cars were like kilometres away because there's no parking on the ground. So this sounds like a bit of a nightmare, but on the positive side, it takes him 10 minutes to get home, and today he's coming home for lunch, and hopefully he'll find something in what I've made that will take his fancy. I just hope he doesn't complain about no cake, but whatever. I might make cake at the end of the week, I don't know. I can't be bothered, I really can't. I should be bothered. I mean, how many of you actually make your own cakes and things, or do you just buy them from the supermarket, or do you actually make them? I'm curious because I never use cake mixes, and I always make everything from scratch, and I'm just wondering if I should just be a little bit more lazy. But I figure it doesn't take that long to make it from scratch, but I just can't be bothered getting the jars and stuff. Because I'm so short, I'm only 5'2", so I always have to get the little step ladder to get up to the top cupboards to get the flour and the sugar and everything. And sometimes I am just so lazy, I cannot be bothered. I really can't. So maybe I should just get the packet mixes, but I don't know. I haven't done it before, so I've got no idea. Anyway, now what else was I going to tell you? I really can't think. I have no idea. I thought I'd try this background on this picture in the whole crayons, because a lady commented on the crayons one the other day saying that she was going to use them for backgrounds, and I wanted to see, how hard it would actually be to use them for the backgrounds, and I think it's going to be fine, because you can add quite a few layers here with them if you want, and they're just so comfortable in my hand. I don't know about yours, but in mine they're really comfortable, that I don't see that there's going to be a problem using them for the background, but we'll see as we go on. So we've been watching Frasier on TV, and it's so funny because we go back to the beginning on all of these comedy shows, and we'll watch them all right from the whole episode 1 to the final episode over and over. and then we'll get tired of that series and we'll go watch another one. So now, because we've watched Big Bang Theory like 3 or 4 times in a row, and then we watched, I can't remember, Modern Family. We watched all of that in a row. So now we're on to Frasier, which we've seen many times before, but I think there's always episodes that you kind of miss or you forget. So we're catching up on that. And then after that, we are stuck. We have no idea what we're going to watch. And we really want to watch Big Bang Theory again, but it's going to be too soon. So I don't know. I think might have to watch Veep or something like that, Parks and Recreation, something like that from beginning to end again. Or we might just go back to, we used to always watch a lot of crime shows, so I think we might go back to maybe Dexter or Blacklist or Justified. But if you've got any ideas, I'm always willing to listen. David always likes to watch some sort of comedy, after dinner. So, and yeah, I'm pretty easygoing. I'm just happy to whatever's there. I find a lot of things not very funny though. Like, I'm probably the only one that thinks that The Office isn't funny, but some things like UK TV I always find really hilarious. But I guess we've all got different senses of humour. But I don't understand what's funny about The Office or Friends for that matter. What's so funny about Friends? I don't know. Is anyone a Friends fan? I think Seinfeld's hilarious, but I don't think Friends is that funny at all. But I don't know. It's just me. I've always had a weird sense of humour. Apparently everyone in the world liked Crocodile Dundee, the movie, and I didn't think it was funny at all, but I thought there was one funny line that they used for the trailer of it, and that was it. But that's just me. I guess we're all different. Different strokes for different folks. I tell you, one thing I'll be glad about is when this rain ends, because everyone is bringing muddy footprints onto my wooden floors and I'm constantly having to clean them. I can't be bothered using the full mop. I've got one of those little mops that you spray a bit of water that comes out with a microfiber cloth, and I'm using that. But there are that many dirty little paw prints and dirty little footprints and stuff on my wooden floors. So annoying. And I seem to be the only one that will use the mop. So I guess that's why I'm more annoyed by it. And the other thing about this cold weather is that I've had such dry lips. Like, all of my lips in the corner have split and are sore, and my lips are so dry, and I'm constantly putting on that Burt's Bees on my lips because they feel so dry. Just, I think it's the wind. I've never had this problem before. I'm just confused why I'm getting it now, but it seems weird because I always put, a lip balm on. Even in summer, I put the one with the sun protection on, but it just seems weird that now they're cracking and they're actually quite sore. So it's just weird. I guess it's just the wind and it'll go away, and it's just one of those things that, your body changes or different weather circumstances. I have no idea. I can't remember it ever having this before, but I guess that's life. And I've been colouring in my Holman pencils onto a new paint chip style swatch, and it's been really good playing with them again. I don't use them as much as I should because it's just so hard to get replacements of them in Australia. I'm not saying that you can't, it's just that it's really expensive, and so with the postage and whatnot, whereas in the UK and US it's a lot easier for you. And at the moment, no one in Japan much is posting to Australia, so you've got to get everything couriered or, DHL or FedEx, and it is just incredibly expensive to get things. I got a quote just to get a small package from Japan the other day, and it was $120 just for the courier, and that wasn't even with the product. So I had to let it go and go, oh well, can't have it. And ever since Amazon Japan stopped shipping to Australia, it's been a nightmare anyway. But now with the COVID restrictions, so many places still aren't shipping to Australia, or they're only using DHL or FedEx, and the cost is just unbelievable. Like, you think it would be quite cheap, being that Japan is so close to Australia, but it's not. It's not. The postage is just unbelievable. Well, it's not really postage. I mean, they're all going by FedEx plane or DHL planes, but too expensive that you can spend on post. Now, I wanted to see if you could use these crayon shavings, like with a cotton bud, to make a background easy, but I tried it a little bit with a Q-tip and with like one of those makeup sponges, and it does work a little bit, but you're only getting a very soft look. So if you're wanting something soft and fluffy like clouds, then that's fine. But if you're wanting a really darker look, then you probably have to just solidly colour it with the crayons rather than use the shavings. But I thought that shavings is just like pure crayon, so I've got to think of somehow that I can use it. So I was going to give it a try, see if I could melt it with the hairdryer and like put it into a pattern and melt it, but I'll have to give that an experiment. Or I was even thinking of getting the least used appliance out of the cupboard. Yes, that's right, the iron. I hardly ever use my iron. I used to use it all the time when I worked in a corporate office, and I figure nowadays I just buy things that don't need ironing, or when I wash them, I hang them on hangers on the line so that they're sort of creasing to the right place, because I hate ironing, and honestly, I'm not very good at it. But I thought I might see if I could put those little shavings onto a piece of paper, then put a piece of like baking paper over it, and maybe ironing it to see if that would sort of melt them out, because it seems like a shame to have all these lovely little bits of crayon shavings and not be able to use them. But it did show up a little bit there on that with the Q-tip or with the uh, cotton wipe. So there's still hope that I can use them somewhere, or use them as those little soft backgrounds. And so I've been culling a lot of stuff around the house, so it's actually been nice to get rid of things. I always like getting decluttering. I wish someone would declutter my desk right now. So I gave away a lawnmower the other day, and the guy that took it, he was so nice. And what he does is he fixes them up for old age pensioners that can't afford a new lawnmower, and so he fixes them up and he gives them to the old age pensioners, and then he just charges a small fee to service them, and so everyone's kind of happy. They get a lawnmower, and he really does them up so well. It's just amazing. Like, he paints them and puts all things on them, and but he's, yeah, really, really lovely that there are people around that are doing those things. And then the other thing I gave away was, like, we had all the metal frame for a gazebo, and that was here on the house when we bought it, but I hated it. It looked sort of cheap and nasty, and so we pulled it down, and I ended up getting a gazebo, a timber one, off Facebook, and I oiled that and got that all fixed up. So I had this metal frame for the gazebo, so I popped that on Facebook, and of course it was gone in a flash. And the kid that came by and got it, I just gave it away, just like the lawnmower. And the kid that came and got it was building a gazebo for his mum, and so that gave him a big head start in building that. So two things out of my yard and off to people that can actually enjoy them and get something from them. But so it was pretty nice. I hate taking things to the tip and just chucking them away for no reason. But it's pretty good that there's people out there that can see a little project in mind. And then I had a dog bed that Buddy does not want to sleep in. I don't know why. And so I popped that out the front, and there's been absolutely no takers on it. I'm sitting in the front nature strip waiting for a home, and I thought with all the dogs that walk past that someone would take it, because there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that he doesn't like it, and it takes up a lot of room. And I'm kind of a minimalist. I just like stuff out of the way. I don't want to hoard stuff because it's such a small house. I cannot get rid of it. So I'm pretty surprised that these little crayons can make so many colours and blend so well. Like the colour of a crown I think is okay, considering that there's only 24 colours in these crayons. So it just goes to show that you don't need as many colours sometimes as you think. And I've got to say, actually having less colours is often better for me, because then I don't have to think so much about what to colour, and it just limits my whole choice. Like, me, like I had that whole stage where I just coloured everything in blue, and that just made me happy. It made me feel really relaxed and sedated, and I didn't feel pressured to choose colours, and so I might be happy just with 2 crayons. I might not even need 24, but I think it'd be great if they did have some more colours in these Bambino set. I can't believe how cheap they are, like in the UK or in Poland, and how long they've been around. They are just fabulous. They're just so easy to work with. They're like little woodless pencils. And now, I know what you guys are going to say, that when you drop them on the floor they're going to break. Well, I don't care if that happens, for one thing, because they sharpen really well, and then I'll just have 2 crayons. But I've dropped them on the floor and they didn't break. So, and I've also dropped my Prismas on the floor and they've not broken. And I've dropped them on the floor umpteen times, and Millie often throws them on the floor when she's in a little huffy puff, but they don't break. So I know a lot of people break them and whatnot, but if these break and they fall on the floor, I'm not bothered, because I think either a hairdryer will bind them together again, or I'll have 2 crayons, so I'm not bothered. The only thing I'm bothered about is that you can't get them in Australia from a distributor that I've found. If you do know someone in Australia that's selling them, please let me know, because I really would like to get the box that's got the gold and silver in it. It's a limited edition box, because yeah, I'd really like that. I'm not sure what to do with this background, so when you see it at the end, I'll probably do some offline. It might look a bit different, but because I can never make up my mind. But it is super easy to even do large areas with these little crayons as well. And if you wanted it softer, then you could do that little makeup sponge thing that I was using before, but it just wasn't producing enough colour for me. I wanted something more solid and deeper, but I guess it depends on what look that you're after. Alright, that's it from me. I went ahead and I coloured the whole background, and what I did was spray on a little bit of gold mister spray that I had, because I couldn't resist. So that's it from me. I hope you have a good day, and until next time, stay safe and happy colouring.